Hello everyone, it is Caitlin, and today we are making an 1830s cotton dress. Let's get cutting. So I have here some homespun. Basically it's what gets sold in the stores as homespun. It's just a coarser weave cotton in a green and gold color with some white in it. And we're going to cut out my normal 1830s bodice, which is a bodice pattern that was drafted for me by a friend, so it's not a commercial pattern. And this is going to be a back closing bodice, as most bodices were in the 1830s. I'm going to leave the selvage here, and I do need this excess to make a back closure. The bodice pattern I have doesn't have any closure. I have to add it wherever I want it. If I want it in the front and the back, this one is going to be, again, a back closing bodice. And I'm going to cut this neckline in just a minute because it's not going to be a high neck like that. This is the front piece that I have massacred. I want a very full bodice, so when I say massacre, I meant to do it this way. Let's see. The back, this is how this piece fits together. So that should be the shoulder seam width, which means that this is going to fit there and that this actually ends right here. Okay. So I'm going to, that's actually quite a bit off. Is that right? I feel like that's not right. A squeaky back neckline. Alright. There we go. There's the back. I am going to need to cut out lining. With that, basically that. I think I'm going to cut a fitted lining. And that way we'll just gather this to fit the lining, which makes sense to me. So we're going to do it that way. I just got a sleeve pattern out and I figure out where I put it now. There it is. Okay. We're going to modify this one. This one is quite large. This is the same sleeve pattern I used on the blue cotton dress and also the floral cotton dress. We're just going to make it fuller on the bottom and not quite as gigo. And this is excess bits. We can cut lining or piping. Piping is what we need. Alright. And I love these little plaids because it makes cutting piping really easy. I cut on the wrong one. I just can follow the little design and I end up with perfectly on the bias piping. After I cut out the lining, which is, you know, cutting out the same thing basically, except the bodice is going to look a little different because it's a bodice and not the fanned out version. But after I sew that together, after I cut that out, we're going to start resewing the skirt. I think back closing bodice, so I got to remember to make the opening in the back, not the front. Sewing together a skirt, which I lost my needle. Well, I had the needle, I lost the thread. But as with most skirt panels, I just run it because it is easier and faster, and why not? And I'm not particularly watching my stitch length, but I'm probably 3 or maybe 4 threads per stitch, which is a little bit more than what they strive for. Not necessarily what they always did, but what they strive for was about 2 threads per stitch. Meaning every time I put a needle down, there was only 2 fabric threads between each stitch. My scissor somewhere, there we go. I need to cut a facing so I can face this skirt. But then we'll be well on our way to have a skirt done. Taking a break from the skirt for a moment, finishing out the sleeves. So I'm just doing a very small running stitch for the sleeves. And I'm going to finish this part out with piping, which I am working on. Alright, working on the bodice. So I have bits and pieces like done, but let's go ahead and finish up. This is one of the backs and side backs. We're just doing a back stitch, not a particularly tiny back stitch because I have, well, it's 10 o'clock at night, so basically this day is over. But tomorrow's my last day. I can work on this dress before I actually kind of need to be wearing it, so we're just trying to get this done as quickly as possible. I also have other projects I need to do, like another dress and a bonnet and other things, and other things on my list of things to do. Oh yeah, there's 2 caps I have to finish. Forgot about those. One of them may be getting finished at the event. As long as I have 2 of them, I think we'll be good. And I have 1 done, so get 1 more done, I think we'll be okay. I'm putting the gathering thread on the front. So there are 2 gathering threads. There's one on the top and one on the bottom because it's a very full gathered bodice. So it's just a little gathering thread. Okay. So there's that. Now I can sew the shoulder seam. I was waiting to do that. And for some reason, this piece ended up a lot bigger than my lining piece, so I'll probably just end up cutting it down. I'm sure it'll be fine. But yeah, that's just something I'm going to have to contend with. But I'm pretty sure I can just cut it off. I just want to get all the gathering done so that I can make sure it's not going to hurt anything if I cut that off. So, but I think the sleeves are mostly done at this point. So once I get this bodice done, we're basically done. So I'm hoping to get this done before I go to bed, and I need to go to bed by midnight. So I have 2 hours, but it'd be really nice to be able to get this project done so I don't have to think about it tomorrow, and it would make me feel accomplished. And there's Elara. I got a new kitten, Stella, and I think they're becoming friends slowly. Alright, I think I started pinning on piping to the waistline. So it's going to be piping, waistband, piping. But I think we can go ahead and gather up this bottom portion. And I think we're going to match thinners. I think that's a smart thing to do. I want most of them to be concentrated towards the center, I think. And at least 6 inches over does not need any. But I thought maybe it could be a little bit more. Okay. Now for the piping, I'm just going to do a basic running stitch because we're going to sew on the waistband pretty well. Therefore, I don't feel like I need to do a lot of really heavy, close sewing. I'm also going to do basically the same thing at the neckline, except I'm thinking no piping. I'm thinking we're going to bind that instead. Alright, I am working on putting on this waistband, finally. So, last we talked, I had forgotten to put in darts. And so it took me like 2 hours, but I have it fitting now. It was the darts, and then it was just too big all around, and so I had to go back to the last dress I made with this pattern and figure out what I needed to do to get it to fit, and I think I have it now. I guess we'll find out Saturday if it doesn't. Right, so putting in sleeves with a not very nice back stitch with the other cat hanging around. I did not get this bodice done last night. It is now about 12 hours later. Mostly oh, hi baby. Mostly because of the fitting issues with the darts and such. So I am getting it done today. The event's tomorrow. I have another dress to finish. And a bonnet. And other things. It's not even the waistband, I guess it's the bottom piping on the waistband. Finishing the piping on the waistband and starting to put the skirt on a little bit. And the skirt is being gauged. So, put my hands back underneath here. We're very nearly done, which is good because I have plenty of other projects to attend to. And as for ties, I think we're going to do 3. One at the very top, one here, and one here. So I just have some quarter inch wide twill tape. I think that's what this is. Let us see. I need enough to make a bow. Perhaps 15 inches. Alright, let's go to the top. This is the side that, this other side is going to go on top. So this is the bottom side. So we're going to sew it, I think, to the very edge. I think I want it right underneath the, not facing, that's all that's called, binding. Binding, that's the word I'm looking for. 6 more ties to complete, and we shall have a dress. Alright, and here we are with the finished dress. It's actually been like 2 months since I made this. I just haven't gone around to filming the inting part. But yeah, I did wear it at San Felipe for Saturday, I think. It worked really well. I don't think I'm gonna be able to get it closed in the back today, but we're going to like actually I won't be able to reach the top one, I know that. So we'll just put it on and kind of see what it looks like, but it's not going to be you know, perfect. But I will put a picture up so you can see it. Actually, just closing the back, it works. It's just, you know, hard to do it by yourself. I did have to have someone else lace me up. That, and I'm wearing my short stays today, which is not the stays I was supposed to wear with this. Something I do need to fix on this dress, which will come sometime, is these sleeves ended up being way too big. And so I just need to take a couple inches off so that they actually are tight here. That's just, I mean, most of what I did all weekend long was fold them up anyway because I was cooking, but you know, I just need to do that. But yeah, that's basically what it will look like. Let me see if I can get these tied off. I'm also wearing, again, my short stay, so I don't think it's going to close all the way to the back, but that's okay. It's not the course that I made this dress for. So it would be not a surprise that it wasn't going to work. But alright, there we go. Again, huge sleeves that keep falling down, which is why I kind of had them up most of the weekend. Other than that, dress worked out really well. Yeah, I mean, I'll let you see the back even though it's not been up, but I didn't really mean for it, but it actually does look like a very early 30s to late 20s gown. I think it's the sleeve shape coupled with the bodice. I don't know, but it just, it's not a bad thing. I mean, that worked for what I was doing for the event. It's just not what I was expecting, but it does come across as very late 20s, early 30s. So I'm actually okay with that. It's just not necessarily what I was planning for it to look like. But I think it's just the couple with the, it's everything together kind of gives that effect. So that actually worked out pretty well, and I wasn't even planning for it. So yeah, that is this gown. But I'm excited we got it done, and I got it done in, was it 4 days? There was really 3 evenings in a day, and I also worked on another dress in that time. So it got a lot accomplished in a short amount of time. It's one of those things where people assume that it takes forever to make a hand-sewn dress. And I've heard the excuse so many times of, well, we were so behind fashion because it takes forever to make a dress. No, it doesn't. I do this fairly frequently, so I do know how to make it go faster, but I use period techniques. So if I can do it in 3 evenings after working a full-time job, and then one day, while also working and almost simultaneously getting a second dress done, then it really wouldn't take you very long to get this done even in the period. So it's it was a nice study, at least in that respect of, yeah, but it doesn't really take that long to make a dress. Even completely hand stitched, if you really buckle down and know what you're doing, it doesn't take that long. It's kind of like getting dressed in the 19th century, where people always assume it takes you like 2 hours to get dressed. And yeah, maybe the first time you try it, it might, because you keep forgetting what comes next, and you keep mixing up layers or having to process and figuring out how things go. But once you get better at it, which, okay, it may take you 5 minutes, 10 minutes, somewhere in there. And I think that's something people don't realize. Once you're used to doing something and it becomes routine, it becomes a lot easier and a lot faster. And so 19th century living and dressing really isn't as complicated and time consuming as people assume that it is, because these people who were living in the 19th century did this all the time. This was normal. The sewing of the dresses, the wearing of the dresses and all the layers is completely normal. So it wouldn't take them forever to do it. They knew how to make it quick. They knew all the tricks to make it just go smoothly and just keep going. They didn't have to stop and process. I mean, my first 1830s dress I made completely by hand. It took me a week. But that's because I had to refit the thing like 4 times because I didn't know what I was doing. It still only took me a week, but I also have 19th century dressmaking skills from other time periods. So someone who didn't have those skills, it probably would take them a while, but no one in the 19th century, or very few people in the 19th century who are making gowns, are going to have the problem of not having any dressmaking skills. It's just one of those things that's very interesting to me, because people assume that things take forever, but they don't, when you know what you're doing. So, and that's one of the things about living history, is you get good at things, and you start to learn how to do things the way that they did them, and then all of a sudden things start making sense. It wasn't very difficult to do this. It wasn't very time consuming to do this. You just have to get accustomed to it. So, if nothing else, this dress was a fun study in that. So, anyway, thank you so much for joining me and making our homespun 1830s cotton dress. Have a fantastic week, and I will see you back here on Monday.